must be mental telepathy, you know? And of course it was. It kind of, I wasn't afraid, but I was just confused. And I walked away from the woods, and I thought, well, if I walk away from the woods, then it's going to go away, right? Well, I walked into the middle of the field, and I kind of looked around, and all of a sudden, this sophisticated voice started talking to me. He said, I am a star person, and I've also been watching you and following you for many years, longer than you know or understand right now. He said almost the same thing. And I thought, I wonder where this guy is, you know? And he said, oh, well, right now, he said, I'm just above you in another dimension, in a UFO, as you people call it, quote unquote. I go, whoa, you know? And they were basically saying, hey, there's a Bigfoot UFO connection, folks, and which is absolutely true. So, how are these beings able to do stuff? Telepathy, dematerialize and stuff? Well, they claim they've been around for 200 million years. Gosh, that's a long time. Not 5 million or 10 million, but 200 million years. And it's interesting because the Bhagavad Gita in India has this whole section on Hanuman. Hanuman, the head monkey, the monkey man. That's how they referred him. But he was honored by everyone because he had all these powers, all these abilities. So this is 200 million years ago, and it's been passed on and now written down in Hindi, and it's been translated into English and stuff. And this backs up everything that the Elder Honorable Camus has told Bo. He says, we've been around for 200 million years, blah, 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 and all this stuff. Bo didn't even know anything about the Bhagavad Gita or anything that was in it. Who cares, right? But now, these are ancient writings and stuff that tell about the truth. But, you know, the scientists, and I'm a social scientist, I'm an anthropologist. I call myself a crypto-anthropologist lately, meaning in search of hidden people. Incidentally, there are, the Brazilian government says there's over 60 tribes hidden in the Amazon that they don't know about yet. And I've lived on the Amazon, so it's 2,230,000 square miles of Amazonian rainforest. A lot of it's been clear cut. I've seen pictures of it. It hurts me. It hurts my heart how they want to just mow down the environment. Well, I accumulated 4 degrees over the years, and but when they came to me that time, I thought, well, I'm not going to ruin my reputation and tell anybody. This is crazy, you know. This is weird stuff, but whatever, you know. If this is who they are. Well, 2 nights later, I'm in bed sleeping, and a voice said to me, "Wake up, my friend. We are here." I thought, oh no, a burglar broke in. And I thought I'd turn around and have a pistol in my face. But there were 2 Sasquatch standing there, and I could see through them. And they did this to me for almost 2 months. They'd come every 2 or 3 or 4 days, or sometimes they skipped a week, and then they would come and talk to me. And the big one, he'd float down through the floor, so he was at arm's length with a huge head like this. And when I moved in bed, he I don't know why, but he kind of did this, and his eye, I could see the pupils of his eyes go back and forth, even though he was in a spirit form, what some people could call it, soul travel, you know, whatever, but they can control that beautifully. So they're interdimensional, I found out, all that. And when I put out my books or talk to the mainstream people, they get very angry with me because, wait a minute, that's not scientific, talking about psychic stuff. That's not a scientific thing. It's quantum physics, I told them. Wake up. Where are you people at? Just because a professor did not say to you, while you were getting your degrees, that this is what it's about. This is quantum physics. Since they didn't tell you that, you can read about it. There's so much information about psychic phenomena that's been tested. Dr. Dean Reagan is one of the key people because the government hired him because he's a quantum physicist. And he proved it, and his books are out there. But these people don't know. As soon as I found out, I started reading books on physics and stuff, though I don't know physics, but the philosophies of physics, the different situations that I studied, and it all fits together. It all fits together. But none of these people, mainstream people, have had any experience to say, to substantiate what I'm saying. Well, guess what? They're not ever going to, not with guns, cameras, and aggression. See, they are so super sensitive that they can feel what you're doing. In Russia, and I'm in contact with scientists all over the world, Australia as well, because they have the same problem there. Now they're coming to me wanting, 20 years ago they wouldn't answer my letters. Now they're coming to me asking, can you teach me about this? Well, the truth, always prevails, and it will. And I never did any of this for fame and fortune or anything like that. Certainly not for fortune. But, so, that was in Wisconsin, I moved to Oregon. And I got a job as a consultant there, and I was living in the country again, because I love the country. Roseburg's 17,000 people at that time, 1984. Well, on the way home, about, I'd say 8 miles or something outside the city, I noticed one night a spaceship followed me home. So I stopped at the general store to get a few items, and then got back in my car, and look, there it was waiting for me there. And I started driving. I took a quick turn because I had to go up, and they did too, followed me all the way home. I got out of the car, and I stood there looking up at it, and I was living, right there in front of me was a dog leg from the Oregon Siskiyous Mountains, the coastal Siskiyous. And that dog leg came out of it long, and it was just high ridges all the way through it. It ended right there. I could look across it like from here to there. A little closer, actually, was the end of this thing, a big thing. It was landed on top, and I ran inside and got my binoculars and stood there, and I watched it hover and slowly get down behind the trees. I said, that's cool. But that's the end of that. Well, it wasn't the end of that. That's 1984. I went inside, brought my groceries in and stuff, and I didn't have a chance to start the fire because I was tired, so I just went straight to bed. Geez, I was in bed 5 or 10 minutes, and I heard this thump, thump, thump of, like an elephant on 2 legs, coming to my window, though I couldn't see. And I said, Sasquatch. I knew immediately because I've had enough experiences then. And so I said, wow, and I heard him walk to the front of the house. I said, oh, that's cool. And I went to roll over. Wait a minute, he's in the kitchen. Now he's walking down the hallway. But the doors are locked. How could he do that? So he walked right into the bedroom because I didn't know what the heck to expect at that time. I kind of looked up, and he's standing over me, but he was, again, in a spirit form. And I looked up at it, I just didn't know what to say, and it was kind of getting a little cool, so I grabbed the blanket and put it on my shoulder like that, looked back up, and he was gone. And all of a sudden, at the end of my bedroom, he sat at the end of the bed and sat there looking at me. And of course I jumped, it startled me, I didn't expect that. And he just said a few words and then left. And when he left, went back through, out, and I could hear him thump, 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 walk away again towards that dog leg where the ship had dropped him off. So this has been reinforced over and over again, you know, and so the importance of it is that we think that we, as modern people, we've got it made, man, we got all this technology. Sorry, folks, you're in kindergarten. When you compare it with the ETs and what they've been able to accomplish. unbelievable things, unbelievable things. And they work with DNA. You know, back in Greece when they had the centaurs and all those other kind of strange beings, they're all, of course, it's mythology. Sorry, the ETs put all that together. They experimented back then. All of that. And in Egypt, when you talk about Ra coming, you know, he's God. Well, he was the ET that was there, and when you see the pictographs, they've got these things on their head, some of the royalty on their head, and it's a big hat like. That's because their heads are that long. They're long heads. They're ETs. All of that is. So the Incas, many other races and civilizations have experienced them. And that's why they do that, so we can leap ahead. And they seem to choose certain people to, as they did me, to push ahead the reality of Sasquatch on a different level, you know. You go to these other conferences, they'll talk about what rifles to use and just tracks and hair, tracks and hair. Sorry, tracks and hair don't talk. They don't give you information. That's why I have those books. That's why Bo has his book. That's why my wife Kelly has her book. Same thing, put together a compilation of 10 people that's having all these experiences, and I documented 452 people that have had telepathic experiences. And 17% of them had stuff that was UFO related. So, but these people don't want to come out and talk. I mean, you know, they don't want to be made fun of and things like that, because there's still people that have closed minds, and it's mostly out of fear. I think that the movie industry has not done us a favor. I think what they've done is create all these monster movies and stuff. So they mislabeled the Sasquatch people monsters. And of course, all your movies, they're killing them and they're shooting at them and all that crazy stuff. Now, the Sasquatch have done some things. You know, the Boggy Creek thing, where they say, oh, it's a monster from Boggy Creek there, you know. Well, you know, in southern Arkansas. But the real story is when these people, there was 2 couples living in this house in the country. They just moved in. But what did they do when the Sasquatch stepped out and looked at them? They ran inside and got a shotgun and blasted them. So some pellets hit them, trying to kill them. The next night, all their rabbits were torn to pieces and the cages were ripped. You say, well, he shouldn't have done that. Well, the guy shouldn't have shot him either. You know, so there are people that they get angry at us periodically, and in talking to them, they refer to a lot of us, especially the mainstream researchers, as children. So it gives you an idea of their perception of some of these so-called experts out there that can't tell you much about Sasquatch unless you're interested in tracks. So I've seen these things before. I've been on expeditions all over. I mean, I went on a 2-year expedition, 1980 and 81, and I go alone, no guns, no cameras. Why? Well, because they don't want their picture taken. I respect that. Doesn't people have any respect for them? They're judging them. So many of these researchers are racist. Oh, why? I shouldn't have said that, right? Well, they are, because they're mislabeling them when they're people, and they want to shoot them before they even know anything about them, right? I mean, I mean, look at what the Sasquatch observed us, what we did to the First Nations people. Horrible. When the Pilgrims came and all that crazy stuff. And as they moved westward, they killed more and more Indians, but the Indians had to protect their land. Everything was being killed. They were being killed. So, hey, can you half blame them? And look at the situation today. So they saw what we did to the Afro-American people and what we did to the Chinese when they came over, how we looked down on them as subhumans. So they know our attitude. They know us better than we know ourselves. We think it's okay to think that way and to apply it or misapply it to people, because they certainly have done it with the Sasquatch people. They've done a lot of healing. They're unbelievable healers, and they've healed my back several times when I was in a wheelchair. Told I probably wouldn't walk again unless they did some kind of experimental surgery. Sorry, I'm not a rat. So I never did. So I telepathed. I just took a shot in the dark back in 1987 when I was in horrible pain. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, my pain was a 10.5. I was living by myself at the time. I would just lay in bed and friends and neighbors would come bring food, do my laundry. I was crippled. So anyhow, I telepathed for 2 days in a row, and the second day of telepathing, about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, I just broke down and wept and wept and wept. I couldn't take it anymore. Here I am, a person that carried a 110-pound backpack for years, in and out of the wilderness by myself. I stayed in good shape and everything, thinking, I can't even walk to the bathroom. I can't even hardly get out of bed. I couldn't move my neck because the pain was down here, still hurt. So anyway, I telepath, continuous, and then I let go. And that second night, when I shut the light off around 10:30, I heard shuffling behind me, and I looked as best I could, and there were 3 little 4-foot beings there. And they said, we have come to heal you. I said, thank you, God bless you. And they put me out. Then about, I don't know what time passed, but they woke me up by talking to each other. It filtered through my mind. And I heard something like this. Didn't make any sense, of course, but woke me up. And there was one standing there, one here, and one behind me with a cylindrical object doing something. And I looked up at him, I said, it's only you guys, I love you. You know, what do you say to beings that have come to heal you? Now, I was getting 4 hours sleep a night, and I was tired all the time. I was a mess. 10.5 hours later, I woke up from a sound sleep, 0 pain, and I walked to the bathroom. But I sat at the edge of the bed and prayed over and over again, thanking God, and I just didn't know how to react. I mean, what do you say to these beings? I mean, they didn't even ask me if I had insurance. So, but the interesting thing is, I had a friend with a 1,000-acre ranch, 35 miles away, and I used to visit him every couple months, and then I'd stay 2, 3, 4 days, and my hobby's cooking, so I'd cook for them and for the family, and I'd throw bales of hay and help them out on the ranch and stuff, but so we'd have fun. So I said, this week, 2 weeks after this happened, because the doctor said, you're done, basically. And 2 weeks later, I said, I'm going to go visit Calvin. So it was on a Friday, and I said, my God, I didn't stop at the bank to get any money. No ATMs back then. So I quickly got in the car and drove, and I arrived, and it was 7 minutes to 5. It closed at 5 o'clock, and I could see it half a block away. So I ran down the sidewalk, and I got to the corner, and there it is right there. When I arrived there like this, you know, I looked to my left, and there's one of the doctors said I'd probably never walk again. And he walked up to me and kept doing this. His mouth was moving, but nothing was coming out. And I said, have a nice day, doctor. And I went across the street to the bank. So my son burnt his hand so bad that the skin was coming off of it. He's 9 years old, and he was, I think, 8 last year when this happened. And I telepathed that night. We were going to have to take him to the doctor. It was just horrible. I was almost in tears watching him run in circles, crying like this, you know. So we got him settled down. My wife put antibiotic cream on, wrapped it, and sent him to bed. And he said, well, he won't be going to school for a while. He'll be going to doctors in the morning, and he's always on the ground with his hands, and we can't get that infected, I mentioned to my wife. So Anyhow, next morning, all I heard was my wife saying, "What are you doing up?" He said, "I'm getting ready for school." "Why?" She said, "Oh no, we're going to go to the doc." That's as far as she got. She was a doctor. And he said, "Oh look, there's nothing wrong with my hand." She said, "What happened to the bandages?" She said, "Oh, I took them out. There's nothing wrong. Look." And he's slapping his fingertips. And I rolled over and said, "Don't do that. What are you doing?" And I looked, there was nothing there. Overnight, skin hanging off. It's just, the Sasquatch people are powerful. You have to be their friend. Don't point a gun at them. You know, point a blessing towards them.